Hello friends, my name is Togapen, and this is my first video. Pretty exciting, I know. In today's video, I'm gonna go over how I draw my art, what steps I use, and overall my process for drawing my art pieces. Before I start this video, I would like to hear your opinion on how this video does. If my tutorial series is something that you all resonate with, I'd love it if you like the video, comment, and subscribe so you can get more from me. My first step is the rough sketch. It really helps me figure out the composition of my art, and it also helps me figure out the basic shapes that I'm gonna make in preparation for the next step, which is the rendering of the rough sketch. I use the rendering to really solidify what my characters are gonna look like for the line art. For drawings like these, the line art is a very important fundamental of the art process, because if the line art looks wonky, then everything else is gonna look wonky too, because you rely so much on the line art here. The next step is the base color. Here you just use one layer in preparation for the next step, which is defining your colors. These can be up to 3, 4, or 5 layers of colors for me. You can also just do it in one layer if you like. This is also the layer that I choose to flesh out my background because it's easier for me. And then the next step is adding dimensions. I do want to say that this process is kind of complicated, and I have a video for it all on its own because for me it's more complicated than all of the steps in this video. So I recommend watching that video as well, and I'll put a link to it in the description. But if you already understand that tactic, then we can move forward. I make a new layer and I set that layer to multiply, and then I set the opacity to 50% so that when I draw on it, it'll create a little shadow of whatever it's on top of. I put it generally around the edges of the image that I'm working on just to create an illusion of dimension, to make it seem like it's round, even though it's actually not because it's a 2D image. The next layer is shadows. And once again, let me pause and say that this layer is also kind of complicated. It has the same amount of presets as dimensions, but you have to be aware of a lot of variables. So I'll make another video on that too. But until that video comes out, you could do it in your own way, because if I'm being honest, my way is pretty backwards. It's because I do it unconventionally, as you can probably see, but it works for me, and that's all that matters. And if you have your own way, that's completely fine too. I know a lot of people, instead of erasing, they draw the shadow on using multiply or using darker colors, but I don't do it like that. I actually add a dark layer and erase the parts I want to be lighter. And the remaining colors are what make the shadows, as you can see in this example I have on the screen. The last layer is the highlight layer. This layer has the least amount of coloring on it because it's a highlight. It's supposed to enhance the drawing and not overwhelm it. This layer adds one more bit of definition, and it really brings the picture together. I hope this tutorial helped. It was definitely more of a crash course, but I'll be making another video with a more comprehensive fill, so like and subscribe, and you'll be notified when I post another video each Monday. The video that's coming next is the shading tutorial video, so you can learn how I do my shading process, as well as the time lapse for the drawing that was used in this video. With that being said, I will see you in the next one. See ya!